Jake is a hustler at the Domjot table. Kira gives Odo a plant. And Odo, of all people, teaches a Jem'Hadar, of all people, to smile. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello. What's up, everybody?
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Deep Space Nine's Season 3, Episode 6, called The Abandoned, directed by the Creole cookout champion of 2396 himself, Mr. Avery Brooks.
Oh, that was an Avery Brooks directed one.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
That was the first one.
Yeah. No, I feel like it was the second. I feel like we just had one a few episodes ago. Yeah, because it was one that he was hardly in. So he found one that he was hardly in, and he directed that one. This one, he wasn't in it a ton either. You know, it was a lot more Odo. It was a lot more Jem'Hadar and Bashir. But it was definitely a Jake and his dad episode, huh? But we got no names for Nog, did we?
I didn't get any Nog. I don't think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think we got any Nog names.
That's okay.
I thought you were going to say...
Oh, we're already going for it.
Yes.
This is like the highlight of our week now.
Yeah, what are the intros? You know,
the trivioids.
Guess Ryan's trivioids. I thought,
all right, let's hear your guesses. I love this.
My guess was Jake has a date with a Dabo girl.
Mm-hmm.
Odo kicks the bucket.
Oh, I wish.
Hey, man, come on. I mean, it was right there.
And I'm like, Kira gives Odo a plant. God, I'm such a terrible. Okay, what's the third one?
And Bashir got punched. That was
okay, so that's your Kira gives Odo a plant one.
Yeah, that was my regular one. But I kind of enjoyed watching Bashir get punched real fast.
So for those of you at home wondering how right Cirroc is, just wait until the other side of our break later on. We'll go over all the quick trivioids and we'll see how close we are there. Because there are a lot of good ones today. Deep Space Nine always gives us a nice poo-poo platter of just... Is that a thing? I feel like it's
a poo-poo platter? No, I don't think it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing, right? Tell us in the comments below what a poo-poo platter is. Right? I mean, like if the Dabo girl was like, hey, I love giving your son a poo-poo platter, then Captain Sisko would be like, oh, that's wonderful. It's a thing. It's like, anyway.
It is a thing, I guess, maybe.
But I don't know what it is.
This was the episode, The Abandoned. Okay, so that's why it sticks out in my mind when as one of the episodes I remember recording.
Mm-hmm.
I guess now that you mentioned that Avery directed it, it probably adds more to it. I'm sure that that was probably the reason why I did better performance-wise in this episode, because I usually act better when Avery's directing. Because he's really good at giving me the right notes.
I thought I was thinking about that, and actually right before we get to that, let me just say, I just Googled poo-poo platter, and would you believe when I typed in poo-poo, platter was the second guess that came up. But you know what was the first? Poo-poo pee-pee. Poo-poo pee-pee was the first guess, but it was poo-poo platter. So poo-poo platter is a tray of American, Chinese, or Hawaiian food consisting of an assortment of small meat and seafood appetizers. See, I knew it was Pacific Islander because they only have 12 languages in the Hawaiian, 12 letters in the Hawaiian language. And so when there are words that sound like that, it's usually Hawaiian. Anyway, so I thought about that Avery was directly directing you and your performance and making that whole thing happen. Do you ever remember any like little hints or secrets or trigger words that he would say that would kind of like unlock something in your performance?
Most of it came from perspective, just kind of letting you know where we are, what your mindset should be going into this particular scene, you're upset with your dad because of this, and it's okay because you're really in love with this girl, that kind of stuff, but the thing that stands out the most, I mean, you couldn't help but miss it when Marta my date was at the Dabo table, and I just remember, number one, she was a very beautiful and attractive young lady that they cast to play this.
I hadn't noticed.
You didn't notice? Yeah, she's very, very beautiful young woman, and she was older than me. So she was actually older than the 20 years old that she was playing.
I did notice that.
Yeah. So I'm sure she was like around 25, around 24, 25 at that time, which was even more nerve-wracking for me at 16 to kind of be dating a really like an older chick.
Yeah.
So I remember the nerves that I had going into this episode. You know, do I have the kissing scene, and how is it going to interplay?
Did you get to a point, or do you even remember if when you first saw her, you're like, oh, she's hot too. Damn it. Like where it just made it more stressful because you're like,
yeah, it was definitely that. It was one of those things where she was hot too. And you could see the outfit she had on, right off top in the opening scene. It's kind of revealing. So I was intimidated by all of that. I was like, oh God, she's hot. I gotta, she's older, and she's wearing these skimpy clothes and stuff. So it was a combination of all of that.
I hope you guys are still friends. 25 years later. I mean,
yeah, no, I wish we were. I think she was looking at me at that time, as, oh, he's such a cute little, I was getting a lot of that at that time because I was interested in girls that were outside of my age range. And so I would always get the, oh, so cute.
you were the Bashir on set, huh?
Yeah. So I was always getting that. And this was just another moment like that. But I thought it was really good that Avery was directing this episode, and it helped me get over a lot of that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it. I will say though that she wasn't in any previous episodes. She was just mentioned, right? So I remember being surprised that she looked older than I expected her to, but that happens all the time on TV when they have like high schoolers being played by 30-year-olds or whatever. So you see this lady, and I was like, oh, she's older than I expected. And then she goes, oh, here's Jake. And then in some strange moment, you actually looked younger than I expected you to. Like, it's almost like I forgot how young you were when this lady walks in and she strolls and she's flirting with this dude and swindling this guy and doing all this. And then she sits down next to a child.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you're just a baby still.
That's what I was thinking as well. And I was also thinking, what the hell am I doing hanging out at a bar at 16?
Working on your poetry.
Yeah.
And it works.
Jake plays the Dabo tables, that's where he goes looking for his dates.
He's also a hustler at the Domjot table. Now, Domjot, I don't know if they probably didn't give you any backstory on Domjot. No. It's a game. I don't know if it's a Nausicaan game or if just Nausicaans play it a lot. And they're like these big guys with like predator mouth, if you remember the movie Predator, with like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was a scene, there was an episode called Tapestry, one of the best Next Generation episodes, where Picard gets stabbed to the heart. And then he has this whole storyline about that. It's really amazing. And actually, Marty, I think was her name, or at least her nickname, was a character that was mentioned in Picard later on. Like the one guy said he served with this dude who was the first officer of Marty, who was Picard's friend at Starfleet Academy. Anyway, getting away from ourselves here. The point is, he got stabbed in the heart because of a disagreement playing Domjot with Nausicaans, who are like these big, Klingon kind of oafs. And he would say like, play Domjot, human. That's a pretty good impression if you've ever seen it. It's pretty good.
That sounds pretty good, actually. I actually sound like Rom doing it, but pretty good.
Bigger than Rom. But anyway, so that's what it is. It's kind of like pool. And so apparently you're a hustler at the Domjot table, which I thought was awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. That's when I was like, hey, let me go check on the dessert and see how everything's going.
I see a lot of notes this time. Did you draw any pictures?
you know what? I didn't draw any pictures this time. If I did, it would have been of Marta, and I don't know if you wanted to see that at this in this moment here.
I was playing tennis in my head, trying to decide, should I say Marta or should I not? You said it for me, so thanks.
I like the line that Sisko says. I think he's talking to O'Brien, and O'Brien's like, "Yeah, so you got that date tonight, the dinner." And Sisko's something to the effect of like, "You know about that?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's all Jake could talk about." And he says, "I think O'Brien's like, don't worry, you'll like her." And Sisko says something to the effect of like, "She's 20 years old dating my son. I don't want to like her."
Right, that was the line. I loved it,
and I loved that. It was just perfect. Like, I don't want to like her.
And there was another great line between those two, but later on when he was okay with you walking around with her, and O'Brien says like, "Hey, you're okay with this?" And he says something like he's accepting it. And he was like, "Oh, what? When you got to meet her, you got to know her and realized you liked her?" And he says, "Well, no, I just got to know my son a little better." And that's
I thought you were going to say something else. I like the line O'Brien said. He said 16 years old and dating a double girl. Godspeed, Jake.
Godspeed, Jake.
Good for you, son of a bitch.
He's going to buy you your first cigar when you're 18.
Yeah. He's like, I'm proud of that kid, boy. He's really making something of himself.
No, that was great. That was a beautiful line because we all know exactly what was happening. O'Brien is like the everyman, you know what I mean? There's a scene.
Yeah.
There's a scene with him in Take Me Out to the Holosuite. I don't know if you know this, but he and Bashir are walking out of the game or to the game. And he says, "Hey, you want some of this? It's called gum." And Bashir's like, "What is that?" He says, "Back in the day, it was like this chewing thing and they would infuse it with flavors." And Bashir's like, "Oh, really? What did you infuse it with?" And he goes, "Scotch." So that's the kind of guy that's saying, "Go get him, Tiger."
Yeah. I'm chewing on Scotch gum.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's funny because when they found that baby, those old baby on board stickers that you put on your car? Yes, on the back?
Not on mine, but yeah.
Not on yours, but you see them on the back. It's the yellow, looks like a caution traffic sign or something, traffic signs. But it's baby on board. So I was just imagining DS9 with a baby on board little.
That would be hilarious, especially if it has a picture of the baby with the little Jem'Hadar little thing that it had. Jem'Hadar baby on board.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
There are a lot of weird things about this episode. A lot of, the baby looked like a human, but with a stamp. And then as it got older, it started looking more and more like a Jem'Hadar. Now, realistically speaking, they did that because they don't want to put a baby through 3 hours of makeup, obviously. You know what I mean? Right. But it was weird to be like, oh, it's a human. Oh, now it's a Jem'Hadar somehow. One thing I did think, though, was when he was a 10 or 12-year-old and they were starting to put the heavy makeup on, I remember thinking it would have been so cool if they had Aron in that role, as the teenage Jem'Hadar character.
Yeah, they could have pulled that off, actually.
Absolutely, because his voice sounded like Aron, and that's what made me think of it.
Me too. I thought of him as well when I was watching the episode. And the size was accurate, right. The size was right. And it looked like he could have pulled that character off easily. Especially, they only used it for, I think it was one scene, during the transition of him growing.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that would have been cool, to have Aron in there. Actually, I thought I could have played one of the Jem'Hadar incarnations at some point when he was in his young teens and something.
You'd be a good Nausicaan, too.
Yeah, I'm narcissistic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I approve.
A little wordplay there.
I approve very strongly.
Yeah. This one is there were a few weird things. I did like the interplay, though, in the beginning, the teaser with Quark and this alien woman that was selling him the junk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love the wordplay between them. I love the in some episodes, Quark really comes off as like a Casanova. He really looks like he's like he's a player, right? He's got the ladies on like on deck.
Yeah, her name was Rionaj. I don't think that they said it. I just looked it up on IMDb because I was wondering if she was going to come back later in the episode or anything like that. So I took a quick note. But yeah, Rionaj. Too bad. It would have been cool. I wonder if we see her in any subsequent episodes. I don't think so. Because on IMDb, it just had one picture of her and it was from that scene. Meaning that's all they got.
You know, and speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up because I thought that the guy who was gambling in the beginning was somebody that we'd seen before. You know that alien? He's the one that lost all his money in the beginning.
He had like ram's horns on his cheeks or something.
Yeah. And I felt like it wasn't the first time we had seen him. I felt like I'd seen him before. So when they showed him in the opening scene, I was thinking, have I seen this alien before?
You've got a keen eye. Oh, I'll tell you what his name was. Alien High Roller. Nice name. Alien High Roller. Sounds like a background character.
Now, there was an episode, for example, when Quark was had competition for the casino. Remember the guy had invented this game and everybody was playing? I felt like he was in that episode, the High Roller.
No,
character.
It looks like maybe a similar alien, but it was not. Well, it at least wasn't that same actor. Okay, but it may have been a similar alien. I don't know what kind of alien that was because he's just an alien high roller, generic alien high roller.
Yeah, generic high roller. But the line that Quark says in the beginning, she's like, "Hey, are you in the mood to buy this junk? You know, I got a bunch of junk to sell you," and he says no, but I am in the market for entertainment.
Yeah, that was so naughty. I'm like, Quark and Bashir really are
he never stops. But I think Quark gets more action than Bashir, though. He literally, at least he's got some ex-girlfriends that come up to him and slap him every once
because
in a while.
He kind of goes, he kind of looks for his ladies on the black market. You know what I mean? Like he's looking for fellow shady characters or different aliens or whatever. Whereas Bashir's trying to just hook up with coworkers, with like Starfleet officers and coworkers. They're like, "Are you serious? We're coworkers, dude. We worked. I'm your superior. We're you know."
Did you get the memo?
Totally different pool, totally different situation. Whereas Quark is picking up women at a bar, at an intergalactic bar. Right. Totally different.
Right. It's totally different. It is. And they're usually nefarious characters that are selling him something on the black market or, you know, so he has that kind of a relationship with them. He actually enjoys the fact that they're just as mischievous as he is.
They're like-minded.
Like-minded, yeah. But he certainly gets more action. So far, I've seen Quark at least with 3, 4, 5 different girls that have, you know, had some kind of interaction relationship.
Well, Bashir had that one lady that floated at him like this one time, remember? Remember that one?
I remember
Melora?
that.
I think her name was Melora. So it's like 7-1. It's still anybody's game.
It's still anybody's game. There were a few things in this episode. You know, it's funny because they mentioned a couple of things when they were talking about taking the Jem'Hadar baby to the USS Constellation that was coming to pick him up.
Right.
And Sisko says something to the effect of like, yeah, he's going to be studied by xenobiologists and exopsychologists.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's coming out on his new rap album. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it originally made me think of was, as of late, the word xenophobia has been really popular in the lexicon of language. And I hadn't heard of xenophobia before, you know, the last couple of years recently. Not something I recall studying 10, 20 years ago. I don't remember it being talked about at least as much as it is now. Xenophobia. And so here when they said xenobiologist, I was thinking, okay, so they have the xeno action.
Xeno warrior princess.
Yeah, and the other one was exopsychologist, and they use an exoskeleton when they talk about an exoskeleton frame. But I've never heard them say exopsychologist, which is another terminology where it's kind of this mashup of words that we're used to hearing with two different words that we're used to hearing kind of put together.
Totally. And the effect that they used there, and I noticed the same thing, it was very poignant because they came up with big, long, medical, ugly sounding terms to really hit home the point that he would be going to a cold place, like a place that's scientific, a place that's cold, a place with big, heartless words and feelings and studies, and it just does, just the feeling you get when you hear those words is not like he won't be going home. He will be going to xenobiologist and exo, whatever it was, psychologist. And that was a really good effect with whoever wrote that line. I thought that was a really, really well-written line.
Yeah, it really conveyed the fact that he was about to be put on display and be scrutinized in this kind of scientific level where it's not going to be him living a normal life. And that was one thing that, you see as the story plays out, Odo really attached to and really related to the fact that he would have this lifestyle of scrutiny, because I believe Odo had that lifestyle of growing up, not fitting in and being analyzed and, what is this guy? Who is he? And that was one thing that he didn't want to have happen to the Jem'Hadar.
Right. Hang on. We're going to take a break in just a second here. But it does bring up something I also wanted to mention too, after you're done with your point, which may have been kind of like the most interesting part of this script to me, which Star Trek seems to do really well, especially specifically Deep Space Nine. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with the 7th rule, which is this show that we're doing right now.